Hey everybody, I'm Kristin. Thanks for having me here. And I'll tell you a little bit about Blackfish Gallery. So Blackfish Gallery was founded in 1979 by a group of professors at the museum school, which is now PNCA, which is now part of Salem University. And their vision for the gallery was to have a place not only to show their work, but also students that they were teaching to have a place to show their work. Really a community-based gallery. And that was one that was artist-owned and operated. So they've been around for over 42 years now. 43? I have to do my math. But, and some of the members have been there since the beginning. Barbara Black, who is 86 years old, puts the Black in Blackfish, is still sitting and making work. She had a show last month in our backroom gallery. There's a long tradition. We're located in the Pearl Arts District in downtown Portland. And we've been there before the Pearl was the Pearl, so they've really seen things ebb and flow and change over the years. And I would say probably the secret to the gallery is the community. It's really that everybody at the gallery pitches in and they do their share. So it's really what you put into Blackfish is what you're going to get out of it. And over the years, just having so many different artists come through. So we still have some founding artists there. Paul Missel is one of the original members who's still there. And there are currently 26 members right now. And our new members just started a couple months ago. So it's really kind of always an ebb and flow and change of, but the members, it's a multidisciplinary gallery, so it's all different types of art. We show all different mediums, anything from contemporary art to more traditional. And it's less focused on the commercial because we are a nonprofit gallery. We're not a 501c3 tax exempt nonprofit, but we are not-for-profit. So part of the reason why that is because the artists are the owners of the gallery, so therefore they're selling their work, they're turning a profit, so they can't actually be tax exempt. But they do run it on a very tight budget, and the reason why they do that is because they don't want money to get in the way of what they're showing. You know, they really want to be able to show work, and once you're in the gallery, you really have a lot of freedom to do whatever you want, to explore, to try different materials, to do different things, and I think that's really exciting, watching people's journeys as they become a member. We've had people that started out as painters who turned into photographers, and people who started out as painters that turned into installation artists, or just try different things, and it's really cool to see them grow, and they're encouraged to do that and experiment and try different things. And it's not like some other commercial galleries where they'll really want you to stick to just the thing that sells, or work in this size, or work in this type of material. So I think that's really what makes it special and unique. Am I missing anything else? Any other points?
Well, one of the things I'm curious about is how do you, like if I'm interested in being part of Blackfish Gallery,
Oh, great question.
how does that all work?
Yeah, so we are always, this is a great thing to know, we're always accepting applications for membership, so you can apply at any time. Whenever we have a spot that opens up, somebody resigns from the gallery or moves on, and a spot opens up, then we look at all the applications that are on file. So if you go to blackfish.com and you go under the About tab, there's a subcategory that's called membership, and you can read more about how to apply. But basically you would prepare your artist statement, your artist CV. There's a letter of intent. Because we are a artist-owned and operated gallery, we want to know that you understand that you're going to pay dues. There's going to be gallery sitting, there's meetings to attend, there's committees that you have to sit on and work to do, and what kind of thing, what skills that you have that you can bring to the gallery. So I get a lot of times people want to apply at Blackfish, or they want to show their work at Blackfish, and it's, I have a standard response email, as a matter of fact, for these Because people are like, hey, I'm in India, can I show my work here? No, we're a local gallery, we show Portland artists that are members, So we do have members who are in Salem. One of our members right now, one of our oldest members, Stephen Soyle, lives in Salem. And so it's not so much the distance, that you don't have to be in Portland, but you have to be committed to coming into Portland once a month for a meeting and once a month to sit and doing the duties. And I think that people can do that if they have the capacity to do that from wherever they are. We've had people commute as far as Newport before. Sandy Rumagoo was one of our artists for a while and commuted all the way out from the coast. So really just showing that commitment. We want to see images of your work, at least 20, well photographed, that really highlight all of your work. Again, it doesn't have to be any particular medium or style. You can even show kind of your variety of things, but enough to know that you're what you're really thinking about and what you're focusing on. And so it's kind of a slow process is another thing, because it's whenever we have applications, whenever we have a spot open, we review the applications on file, because we work in committees, and this is nobody's full-time job, and it's everybody's just passion. We have a membership committee, and so the process just kind of goes slow. First, when a spot opens up, then we look at what's on file, and then it goes first through this membership committee that then selects ones that they think that should show on to the rest of the membership. And then the rest of the membership gets to review the applications, and then they'll vote whether or not to invite somebody in for an interview. And then you'll interview with the whole gallery, and at that point, it's usually not about your work anymore, it's about you. Are you going to be a team player? Do you understand how the gallery works? Are you just kind of see if it's a good fit for both ends. So, and then from there, the membership then votes again, whether you're in or not. And then they would extend an invitation to join the gallery. And we usually, within the first few months, make sure that new members get a show to highlight them. So because it's a cooperative with 30 people, artists show in the main gallery space probably every 18 months. But we have windows that we have, and we have a back room, so in between that time of 18 months, you've got other opportunities to show. But oftentimes, it's such a big space, it takes a good 18 months to build up a whole other body of work to fill half a gallery that size. So, Any other questions about membership applications? I think that's an important one.
Not about membership applications, but how does the organization work, and is there an executive committee? I mean, how does the hierarchy sort of work? Because you always need some people who are sort of making it happen.
Yeah, great question. So I'm the director, I'm the only paid employee, and I'm there very part-time. So I'm there on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I'm at the business meeting once a month, and whenever else they wrote me into other things. But my job is really to, for just that reason, right? Like you have to have one person that's sort of the hub, the point person. So all the emails come to me. I know I feel like traffic control, honestly, is my job a lot, is traffic control. And, there's a lot of, we do have an executive committee, we have co-presidents. So we have 2 presidents always, and what we do is we make sure that as you serve for 2 years, but as you're staying on your second year, you're training up the next person. And then, so right now, we'll have one person that goes off and one person that comes on, and they serve the years co-presidents, and then we have 2 people that handle the finances, and that's what makes what we call the executive committee. So that executive committee meets once a month, and we plan the agenda for the business meeting that we have once a month. So they're kind of just, and again, so nobody gets burned out. There's no official term limits. I'd have to look at our bylaws again, but it's probably a good idea. I think having people also too, since we don't have HR or anything like that, if members have issues amongst each other, they can come to the executive committee or the director and talk to us, and we can help resolve things.
you ever have shows of folks who are not members?
Yes, that's a great question. So like I said, we were founded, the founders of the gallery really had the intention that it would be a community gallery. So very often they will come up with ideas for theme shows and invite all the members to participate, but then also do a call out. And so if you're signed up for our email list, you'll get those calls. Right now we are doing a land art show in August, so it's going to be really great. One of our members has a really great property like that backs up against, it's right up against the Columbia Slope, and so we're going to have buses going in out there, and we're going to have actual pieces of art on her land, as well as in the gallery that really just focus on environmental issues. So that's one of those opportunities where, you know, Mary Dawn Duckler is the one that's curating that, and she'll put feelers out into the community and invite artists, or sometimes, and actually we're at this point where she's like, okay, well if I don't hear back from people, we're gonna put a call out and start inviting the public to send in proposals to possibly be a part of it. So one of the things that I think is just so great about Blackfish is it's just so friendly and accessible. So anytime you could come down to the gallery, somebody is sitting there and they want to talk to you. There's so many galleries where they don't want to give you the time of day, whereas in Blackfish, it's like, that's why they're there. They're there to engage with the community, they're there to show their art, they're not necessarily thinking about selling their art. It's part of our ethos to have a very welcoming environment, that people who show up, that we want to talk to you about art. And so I always tell people who are interested in Blackfish, and it's funny how people who are interested in applying do not take this advice. I'm like, come down, introduce yourself, say hey, be a fan, like nerd out about the art with whoever's sitting. They want to talk to you, we want to know you, you know, and because it's a community-based gallery too, we want to know who you are and know that you want to be a part of it. And some people will just like, people have come down and dropped off applications. I'm like, oh, you should chat with someone. They're like, no, it's cool. I'm good. Yeah, I know how cooperatives work. And I'm like, okay, well, they're going to be voting on your application. So, you know, it's good to show your face and talk. And oftentimes when you're asking about the work, I've heard it almost every day when I'm there, you're asking about the work on the walls and you're interested in art. Almost always somebody's like, oh, are you an artist? Tell me about your work. It's just a natural part of the conversation. So we've met a lot of great artists that way. And the other thing I'll say about applying is if you don't get in right away, that doesn't mean that it's a no for never. You know, a lot of artists keep on working and apply again. Sometimes it's just in the moment we only have so many slots and we just can't take everybody. And so we encourage people to reapply or keep applying, keep hanging out, keep coming down to shows, come down First Thursday, come see us, you know, make yourself known. I know it can feel awkward. I think that's why it's fun. It's like a good place to feel like a safe space that you can just feel, not feel weird about coming down and introduce yourself and saying, hey, hang out.
You mentioned that members paid dues, and so
Yes.
do the dues mostly cover the operating facilities cost, and then how much, if there's a commission, do the artists get back? Is it, you know, 90% of it, is it 80? So those questions.
Yeah, so right now we pay probably less dues than other people because we've had a sweet deal on our end. We've had a handshake deal with the Wongs, who are just patrons of the arts, and they actually have since passed away, and their children own the building, and they're gonna sell it, and we're gonna have to move soon, and our dues is probably gonna go up because of it. But the dues, there's two things. There's monthly member dues, but then there's also an exhibition fee. So when you show 18 months, whether you're showing, we kind of keep the solo shows to a minimum because then it wouldn't be fair for everybody. So, but every now and then people have solo shows. If it's a solo show, you pay the full fee. If it's, which more than often it's not, it's a, you know, a two-person show or a three-person show, then they split that fee. And that fee is kind of ebbed and flowed. A lot of it was based on advertising. We advertise with the Portland Art Dealers Association and the Art Guide. And so part of it is for paying that ad, but part of it just goes to, yeah, keeping the lights on and bills and rent and things like that. So, but it is a great model in that sense that you, I don't know, we would just had a retreat. So, and one of the things that came up, and I think as we're thinking about how we're going to have to move, and then dues are probably going to go up, but it's like there's not many people that can say they own a gallery and pay under $200 a month to I own a gallery, you know. So when you think about it as an investment, something that you own, I remember starting out in business for myself, because Blackfish is just a part-time thing for me. A coach said to me, well, if you don't have $500 to invest in your business, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. And so I think when you think about it in that sense, you know, that if this, you're really considering this your business, and what a privilege it is as an artist to own a gallery and have that freedom and flexibility. And also the camaraderie that comes along with it. You know, most of us, if you didn't go to art school, or even if you've left art school, when else do you get to be a group of artists? We do this thing called Catfish, where once a month they get together and they critique artwork, or they go see artwork, or they watch a film together. There's just this really nice to have that, you know.
Okay.
And the person should the same question, sure.
Does the gallery do online sales, and is that successful?
We do. This is really exciting. So when I came on, it was right before the pandemic. And like I said, we've been around since 1979. There's some things that have been the same since 1979. And as my job coming on, I was really wanting to kind of push us into the present. And so a big part of what I've done is rebuild the website, or build a new website that has the capacity to sell works online, and it really helps. And it's not always too about this making the sale online, although that happens. Oftentimes people will see something on the website for sale and then want to come see it in person before they purchase it. I've had one person that was like, well, I saw it and I want to buy it, but I do want to see it in person. I'm like, well, if you liked it online, you're going to even love it more in person, I'll tell you that. But I don't know if it's going to be here when you get here, because it was kind of a popular piece. So anyhow, he came down the very first thing the morning, but he had seen it on the website. And so we have made sales from outside of Portland. It's interesting because I say over and over about the pandemic hit, and I was like, well, never waste a good crisis, right? So we had this lull, and I knew, and there were probably like a lot of resistance from some of the older members. They hate the credit card machine. I hated the credit card machine. I'm like, we need this new system anyway, but they're kind of scared of new technology, and so I put in this whole new sales system and website that with sales, and we started doing virtual first Thursdays because we were shut down, and the show must go on, but even if people can't be here. And that ended up being so awesome because we had this whole audience now that and then you can track it. Like there are people all over the world watching, you know, and there are people started buying work online from different places. So we've sold work part of it is like shipping. And that's tricky, and so what we usually do is just, you know, take that on a case-by-case basis, and we just let people know online. And that was a big resistance of that, of like, oh, are we gonna sell things online? What about shipping? I'm like, well, we're not Amazon, and I think our, you know, audience and customers understand that we're not Amazon. It's not like they're gonna get it shipped the next day or whatever. They know it's gonna cost to ship it, and you know, we just kind of explain to them, just reach out to the director and she'll get you an estimate, and we work that out that way. So, but yeah, it's been great to have those stats to show how much we've made online to really prove that it was worthwhile investing in that.
My question was just, you're very positive about the camaraderie and the community of Cooperative Gallery, and so I was wondering if you've worked in gallery management, or if you're an artist as well, if you've shown, and how kind of you see the difference and what you like about each.
About the difference between?
Kind of like a for-profit, I know we talked about Melanie yet, but like, you know, kind of sales-driven, single proprietary ownership versus a cooperative.
It's really interesting because I never really imagined that I'd ever be a gallery director. I worked at a gallery when I was in my 20s for a little bit and my background is I started out as an artist myself, so I went to trade school for advertising art design, photography, and I went on to earn my BFA in photography from the School of Visual Arts in New York City. And I grew up with my mom. She works in fundraising and development for nonprofits. So when I graduated SVA and the jobs that were out there were photoshopping people's bodies for magazines, it was like, this is not what I wanted to do in my life. You know, I was really feeling icky about it. And I just started thinking, well, I spend like 20 hours of my week volunteering time with nonprofits. Like, why? I want to look into art nonprofits. So it's really kind of where I went with my career. And because I have this background in graphic design and photography, it put me really easily into marketing and fundraising positions, because it's like, oh, you can do all things because we're a small nonprofit and we need you to do like 10 jobs. So that's kind of where that came from. And I've been here now for 10 years and learned pretty early on that I wasn't going to find that like one job. And so I've been freelancing and kind of coaching artists and consulting nonprofits. And when the job came up with Blackfish, someone who is the wife of a member said, "You'd be great for that. Like, you should throw your hat in the ring." And I thought, oh, interesting. But because it was a cooperative gallery and because it was a nonprofit gallery, that's what drew me to it. I probably wouldn't be there at all if it was just a commercial gallery. So I have less experience and that's not even true, I guess, because most of my clients that I've worked for, like Your Burst Glass, like they're a commercial art business, you know. But I think that what's interesting is that sales and fundraising is pretty much the same thing. People just think that it's easier because it's a donation, but it's really the same thing, you know. And so getting over that and really looking at value, and honestly, we've been talking about, do we really go for the 501c3 or not? And there's reasons to do it if we want to go bigger and become like a cultural center and really kind of get to the next level, because we are so community oriented based. That's really where the vision is going. But ultimately, there's been clients that I've worked with, galleries that I've talked them out of becoming a nonprofit because it is easier without the paperwork or the red tape, or even like a big thing for artists is being able to say whatever you want to say without being censored. And once you have that 501c3 nonprofit status, you are beholden to the public for whatever you put out there or whatever you say. So you invite scrutiny in, or protest, or removal of funding, and there's endless reporting back of all this stuff. So it really, you could take all that energy and just put it into sales, and it just be a clean and easy transaction. Like, you're offering something awesome and people love the work and they want to buy it. And I think most people feel really good about supporting artists and buying work. If they fall in love with a piece, they're gonna want to spend the money on it. So, and that's something that I'm learning at Blackfish, because at the end of the day, we still are a business. And so I'm learning how much I love to sell art, how fun it is. It's such a win for everyone because everybody leaves happy. The gallery's happy, the artists are happy, and the people who buy are happy. And that gets back to the question that I missed to answer, was how much do artists get back to? We do a 60-40 split with artists, so they get 60% and the gallery gets 40%. And you get a discount if you're a member.
Should we move on over to Melanie, then we can come back with questions for both?
Hello, is this working?
Yes.
I'm Melanie. I own the Salem on the Edge Fine Art Gallery. A little bit of my background is I received a BFA from Cornish College in Seattle. Then I went on to get my MFA from the University of Idaho. I opened up the gallery a year and 10 months ago. Really had no idea that I was going to open up a gallery. Is that better? So I'm a real newbie. I haven't been around for 40 some odd years, and it's it's a learning experience. Never had a retail business. I thought I was going to have artists that would come and stay, and I would work up to an X number of artists. And it's been more fluid. I also thought that I would be showing my artist work all the time, and that changed. I found that it's better to have, to put some artist work away for a couple months, so that people don't see it. Things change a little bit more when people come in. It's just been a learning experience, and being able to be fluid with that. I'm a for-profit, so that's a little bit different. I have a contract. It's really important for people to come in, look at the gallery, look at the space, and leave, and then maybe come back and say, hey, how do I show my artwork in here? I want to know that you're committed. You're not just walking straight in, right up to the front desk and saying, how do I show my work here? And then you leave, and then you never come back again. That's just not impressive. And it doesn't make me want to sell your artwork. It has to be a good fit. So the artists that I have, it just has to be a good fit. I do everything, and I don't have time to work with people that I can't work with. And I mean that in the nicest way. But it is fun selling artwork. I love it, and I love selling artwork for the artists. And I say that loosely because I don't really think that you can sell artwork. I think your artwork sells itself. Someone comes in, they connect with it, and they want to have it. And that is a great feeling, that someone loves your artwork that much, and they want to take it home. And I want them to take it home and make it part of their surroundings. So what I do when people want to come into the gallery, they need to give me not 20 images, 3 to 5 images with medium in size, a bio, resume if they have it. And then I kind of take a look, see if I'm interested or not. And if I'm really interested, I'm going to have them bring the work in, or I'm going to do a studio visit and really see what the artwork looks like, because you can't really see it until you're right in front of it. The buying online thing is really a mystery to me. I just don't know what a piece is going to look like until I see it. And certainly you've got these pieces over here that you cannot see that with just a photograph. So, yeah, what else do I want to say?
I was wondering if you could talk more about the title. I think I've read here and there, but it's always better to hear from
Salem
them.
on the Edge?
Yeah.
So I always felt like Salem was just on the edge of something. They always wanted to be hip, but they were never quite there. And then things kind of before the pandemic started happening, and I felt like, Salem was really on the edge. So I wanted to take that name, Salem on the Edge, because we want to be something. We want to be Portland, but we want to be Salem. And I still feel that as we're coming, I don't know, out of this pandemic or not, I don't know what we are, but I still feel that energy coming back again. I feel it downtown that, some buildings are emptying out, some people are moving, some closing, and there's this energy where people are looking for buildings. I talked to someone the other day who's moving up from Albuquerque, and they maybe want to have artist studios, and he's thinking about opening up a place where people can do prints. So these would be lithography, kind of like Crow's Shadow, which is in Eastern Oregon. So I think that would be so cool to have. Yeah, that would be really fun. I don't sell prints at this point in time. I just do original artwork. Not that I don't like prints, but it's just, I guess if I found an artist where I really love the prints, I might take them on, but at this point, I kind of haven't. Yeah.
But do you feel like your primary interest is painting? When I go in, I see a lot of painting.
I have a lot of paintings.
So is that really your interest is showing painters? And then a follow-up question is, how many artists do you feel like you have? You know, if you were to say, I've got this cadre of artists that I show regularly, how big would that be?
So I have 21 right now. 30 is in my mind. We'll see if I ever get there. The artists are kind of fluid also, so I'll stick with the artists for a little bit. So I've had artists come and go, selling, not selling, wanting to do things that I just didn't feel like it fit with the gallery, so they've left. And it's all okay. So I never seem to get out of like 21, but we'll see if I'm able to get to 30. So 21 may be my sweet number. We'll see. I mean, I also have guest artists, so I'll bring in an artist and show them on the guest wall, or maybe just mix them in with the curation, see how they do, maybe just so that they can get a show on the resume. And maybe I don't want to have him as a full-time artist, but so yeah, that's showing artists. What was the other side of the question?
Is your primary interest in
Oh yeah, paintings. So I do love paintings. I love oil paintings and acrylic paintings. I think when someone has to go and frame something, the price point can get too high. And I think that's one reason why I've kind of stayed away from people, you know, just being able to do an oil and acrylic painting and they're just framing and not putting glass on anything. I do have a couple of artists who do works on paper. They do get it framed and the price point goes up. And it's just an issue. Not to say that I won't. I'd still really love to have a really nice watercolorist, which I don't have at this point. So I'm just, you know, always kind of looking. Yeah.
I'm new to the area. I've been here, I moved here just before the pandemic. And I'm not familiar with your gallery. Where are you located? I couldn't find it on iMaps
Oh, I'm
on
sorry.
my iPhone.
So I'm right in the middle of downtown. I'm 156 Liberty Street Northeast.
156?
Uh-huh. I'm just north of Ritter's or Archive. I'm right in the middle of that block. I would tell you it's the Metropolitan Building that people seem to know, but you're not from here, so.
No.
And neither am
I'm
I.
learning, I'm just getting out of the house.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah. Yes.
So what is it that makes you say yes to an artist?
I have to love your work. It's just that simple. Yeah, I've got to love your work. Because I can't sell it. No, I don't. Yeah, I just have to love it. And I have to have a real feeling for it so that I can express that and your story to whoever's looking at it. Matthew? Oh, sorry.
I have another question, but Susan.
Oh, just, you want to talk about the couple of group shows that you have that other people other than who you show regularly can show in?
Yeah, so I have an erotica show in February. That's fun. I have a juror for that. It's just a fun show. I really like it. I like erotica art, and I have people that come to the gallery just for that show. They don't come any other time. And yeah, it's just kind of fun. And I don't have to jury it myself. So I feel like I can step away from that, which is nice for me since then I'm the owner, is to have someone else jury that. I also have kind of a group show in July. So July I'll show all of my artists at the same time, and then I've invited 8 artists this time to come in and show with that. In August I have a plein air show. So on my artist feature wall, which I have an artist feature wall, I'll have a plein air show. Then the plein air artists are invited to go out and paint on a Saturday. They bring in their wet paintings, put it on the wet wall, as we're calling it, and that's all for sale.
How do you cultivate the buyers? Do you have relationships with buyers?
Well, I'm starting it. Once again, I'm new, so, and I opened in the pandemic. So it's Instagram, it's Facebook, sending out press releases, hoping that, the Salem Reporter or the Statesman Journal is going to pick me up, which they don't always. Sometimes hitting Portland, if the artist is from Portland, or Eugene, if the artist is from Eugene. But that's a thing. Yeah. Fortunately, I'm in a great location, so I get a lot of people just walking in off the street. And the more we come out of this pandemic, the more people will have coming in. Yeah.
So I was curious if you could talk a little bit about consignment and typically how many pieces of work that you have either in the gallery on display or in the back that you keep as kind of reserve if something sells or you have a collector come in asking for more pieces.
So I usually have about 5 pieces of the artist. If the artist, so I've got 21 artists, they can be a featured artist if they want. They can take the 48-foot wall. Not all my artists want to do that. That's a big wall. Susan took the back wall, which was perfect for her show in February. Yeah, so about 5 pieces. Sometimes I'll take more, sometimes I have less. It all depends on how big the work is. I've got one artist who does 48 by 48 foot paintings. Inch. 48 inches. Yeah, sorry about that. That would be almost the whole wall. So I can't have a lot of his work, but I try and have about 5 pieces. And then I can tell people, if you want to look at more artwork, I have it in the back. If you have smaller work, I can have more of your work.
How do you set prices, and how do you describe sort of the collector base in Salem?
So pricing is, that's that really fluid thing. Some artists are really set on what their prices are. They charge by the square inch, and that's really easy. That's just how they do it. And I think more artists are actually doing that, especially artists that sell. They don't have to worry about what size they're doing. There's just a set price. But often I just work with the artist. If it's too high and I just feel like I'm not going to sell it, I've got to come down. I will put whatever the artist wants. I want the artist to be comfortable. But I will say, I'm not sure I can sell it. And I'll be honest with them about that. And if the artist is too high in their prices, I may not take them on if I feel like I'm just not going to sell every piece at $6,000. I just won't. And my storage space is really limited, so I don't have a lot of space to be storing artwork that I'm not going to sell. I've just slowly been building up a client base. I feel really fortunate. People have just walked in and they're coming back and they're buying artwork. Some of those people are from outside the area. They've come either before the pandemic or they came during the pandemic. So they're coming outside of Oregon and they're used to buying artwork, and price is not an issue for them. Yeah, John.
How do you know what's going to sell?
I don't know what's going to sell.
What does sell? Because eventually you find out. Is there a theme? Is there anything about the Salem market that you could characterize, like this sells, this doesn't?
So the artwork sells that I like, because every artist I take on, I like their work. But I don't know what's going to sell. Like, I will absolutely love a piece of an artist, and it just won't sell. And I don't get it, because I love it. Not to say that that's a criteria, but, yeah, I don't think I know it's gonna sell. Sometimes if I get way too far out, with kind of weird stuff that I'm kind of doing right now, people aren't as excited about it as I am, but I'm still gonna push it. I still, because I'm at Salem on the Edge, I feel like I can kind of do things, I can push it a little bit because of the name of the gallery. And we'll see if it sells. I've got someone that's dropping off work tomorrow. He's a new artist, and his work is kind of out there, and I really like it a lot. But we'll see. We'll see if it will sell. Yes, Chris?
Can you speak to any role you think that the artist has in promoting their work in conjunction with your promotion and the advertising you do?
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, so it really is teamwork and being a good fit. It's important that the artists take time to really promote the gallery along with their work. If we do that together, I think that really helps. I sell more. So if the artist is really on Instagram or Facebook, they're pushing their artwork or they're getting ready to be the featured artist in the gallery and they're, plugging Salem on the Edge the whole time, I sell more work. I just do because we're hitting everybody. So we're hitting the people that are following me and the people that are following them. Yeah.
What's the role of social media in sales, would you say?
Oh, gosh. I'd say maybe half. I do get a lot of people interested in the work and wanting to know the price. And then the minute I tell the price, they're not interested. That's kind of interesting. Yes, Jonathan?
So how often do you sell a piece to someone just straight through, Instagram or something, like they never even see the piece in person, they just say, I want that, and then you sell it to them? Does that happen very often?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
not a lot.
Okay.
And that's where I find it really interesting that people are buying things without coming in and looking at it. And I know a lot of artists on Instagram, I call them superstar artists on Instagram. They're selling their artwork. They're selling their artwork all over the world, and people are not looking at them in person. And especially with painting, I feel like you just get so much more. You get the texture that you're just not getting through a photograph. Yeah. And shipping. Yeah, shipping's a thing.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I think that
It's
when
expensive.
we send, also I think the opposite happens where people come in and see something and then they walk away and they or keep thinking about it and then they'll go and purchase it online because it's there, and they it's stuck with them,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I wonder how you guys think about the artist's intent or the artist's story in the process of selling. I always think people connect certainly with a piece, but also with the artist's reason for creating that piece or story behind the piece, but that we often find it hard to convey that, right? You can show the piece, but it's hard to. I just wonder if you guys think about letting the artist speak for his or her work as a way to. Does that help sales or connect with people?
I think it's both. I think some people just connect so strongly to a piece that they want it. They just know the minute they walk in the gallery, they see it, I want that. Other times it's talking to the person, telling the artist.
Sorry. It's too close.
Telling the artist story really helps nail that sale. And the more I know about the artist, the better. And about that piece too.
Yeah, I think that I've had several time moments at the gallery. They're probably my favorite stories of things that happen. Of this one gentleman had come in. He was visiting from Idaho. I'm not going to turn on my mic. Can you guys all hear me? And there's going to be feedback if we both cover myself. He was visiting from Idaho, and he said he was here for a doctor's appointment. And he walked around looking at things, and he kind of was enamored by this one piece that It was an oil painting of like a close-up view of just a man's hands holding a cup. And, you know, I could tell he was interested in it, and I said to him, the artist, this is her stepfather, and this is a painting of when he got the news about his cancer diagnosis. And I could tell, it just resonated. You know, I didn't know why he was in town or whatever, but he said, would you ship this to Idaho? I said, yeah, and that was the defining thing, where he just saw himself in that painting and was so moved by it. And I said, you know, I'm not quite sure how much it would be. I can get an estimate, and it would probably be pretty pricey. It's a giant oil painting, you know. He was like, whatever it is, just, you know, doesn't matter, just let me know and we'll square up about it. So it was really powerful, you know, how just the context of, he was already enamored by the painting, right? But just having the contents of the background, and then he could resonate it, and that story was his story. It was really what made him buy the piece.
I had a question about how Blackfish, well, I have to first say, like, I was very surprised to hear that Blackfish was a cooperative gallery, because I always go in and it's, you know, you're in Portland and you're really fast and you're trying to soak it all up, and the space is used so well, and I'm always appreciative of, like, oh, they hug more art in the back. But how many pieces do you typically keep of the members, and then do you bring those out if people are asking where that artist is and can I see more? And
I love doing that. So it's like a treasure trove back there. There's so much good stuff and history, because the gallery's been around for so long, and we actually have another space next door that's studio space and even more storage. So that's kind of deep storage, but if people come in and they're, you know, because we're cooperative and we represent 30 artists, if somebody comes in, and oftentimes people will say, hey, there's this artist a couple months ago or a couple years ago that I saw, and they want to see their work, you know, and I'll show them. And that's what's kind of nice about having things in storage. Everybody gets, you know, and it also depends on what kind of work you have, right? So some people have 3D, and so we have walls of 3D sculptures, and then we have stacks for the large scale paintings. We have drawings and things like that. We have drawers for some photographs. So we have stuff on hand. And actually, it's funny because we had a new member show in January, and one of our new members took home some of her favorite pieces, and somebody had come back later and was like, I saw this piece in the show, and I saw it was for sale online, and I wanted to come down, and I was looking back there, and I'm like, oh, she must take it home, it's her favorite piece. And so I said to her, you probably want to leave things around for a little while and keep stuff here, because people are looking at our website, they are, you know, considering. It's weird how I've done it before for buying art where something just stays with me and sticks with me, and I just hope it's still available by the time I'm really ready to purchase it. I encourage artists to keep stuff there, and we have a pretty big collection, and then whatever's not there, they can have a portfolio online. So that gets a little tricky, because then I'm less sure of like whether it really get our hands on it. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, do you saw this piece? Let me look at my studio. It's a little bit stressful, but actually that's happened several times. Recently, a lot with Connie Cato, one of our members who's been around a long time too, and for whatever reason, we've had lots of people just looking on the website and think, I'm interested in these pieces, and make them go to a studio and drag out the other ones, and people will come, you know, look through everything. And it's kind of nice to, keep things on hand at any moment. So, you know, you're not just selling your work when you have a show. You can sell your work all the time.
Can you talk about the future and where you might be moving?
Yeah, so it's still so up in the air. We just, like I said, we had a retreat on just this past Sunday, and we all met in Wilsonville at the River Picnic Shelter and spent the whole day just kind of dreaming and really thinking about what's next. And because the building is being sold, it's really, you know, we're at a crossroads about what to do and where to go. You know, there's different camps. So okay, this is the hard part about being in a cooperative. You have 30 people that have to make a decision, and democracy is hard. It is hard work. You know, everybody has to be heard, we have to consider all these things, you know, so hearing everybody out, you know, some people are like, hey, let's buy a building. Okay, who's gonna buy that? Who's gonna own it? Who's gonna, you know, like, cool, it would be awesome, you know, if we could, and who could afford that, you know? I mean, it's always an option, right? Or I recently went down to the Portland, the Pearl Neighborhood Association to just tell them, hey, we're looking for our next home. We'd like to stay here because we've been here for so long. I think what we love about our neighborhood in the Pearl, obviously, is there's other galleries there, and we have the Thursday night art walk, and we're part of the Portland Art Dealers Association, and we have such great camaraderie with the other galleries. I mean, for someone, I came on, like I said, like at the height of, like, I started January and the pandemic was March, right? So all of a sudden it was a ghost town. So knowing that right across the street is two other galleries, PDX Contemporary, Elizabeth Leach, we're looking out for each other, you know, around the corner of Vincent, and up the block, Waterstone, and there are a few others. It's like we kind of just supported each other. And that was something surprising to me coming from New York. What I love about Portland is just, and I wasn't sure if I'd find that in the galleries, and I did, you know, really them being so welcoming and wanting to work together, knowing that we're stronger together, and that the overall arts ecology, you know, and the culture of our city is so, it's really the heart of our city. So staying there is, I think, again, it goes into different camps. So then there's a whole other camp of like, well, hey, we were here before the Pearl was the Pearl, and we could go somewhere else that's cheaper and scrappy and start all over and let them come to us, you know, and maybe make something even bigger where it is like, it becomes like an attraction, you know, a cultural center. So it's just fun to dream, and none of these things are at any solid plan yet, but you know, it's tricky when you have, people have different ideas. You know, some people are really, just want everything to stay the same. You know, some people want to make big waves and see a whole new evolution of what the Blackfish could be. And I think that wherever we go, though, what I'm really excited about is that there's no one, and this was like shocking to me, no one that's negative about it, or no one thinks that this is the end of us or the death of us, or this is like, this can't be done. There's no woe is me, like doom and gloom about it. They're just kind of like, all right, well, we're gonna figure it out and we'll see where it goes. So it's really, I think it just goes to show the organization that they attract, the people that they attract, right? The people the members that they bring on, they are really looking for people that have that sort of attitude, a can-do attitude, because it is, you just need it. You know, I think there's so many, you know, divas in the art world, and personalities and people, and people who are just like, I'm an artist and I don't talk to people and I don't get along with people. It's like, okay, well then this is just not the place for you, you know, like the cooperative gallery is not gonna work for you, you know. And they've had people who've had, that they've had issues with over the years, and they've asked them kindly, you know, to leave us. It's like, this is probably just not a good fit for either of us, you know, and deal with it as diplomatically as possible. But I think that's why really going through that vetting process is really important. And it's not just about whether your work is great, you know, or even if you're easy to get along with. It's really like, are you in this? Are you dedicated? You know, and I've never met a more dedicated group of people. It's inspiring.
I'm glad that you brought that up. That was actually my question.
Yeah.
Is kind of thinking about Salem and Salem being on the edge. And one of the things that I appreciate and why it's so fun to go to the Pearl District is because if you're there to hit galleries, there's a map and it's like bing, 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 bing. It's everywhere that I want to go because the map's there. And you're like, okay, it's only 2 blocks, I can make it, right? They're closed, And so I was wondering, this is the both of your opinions as far as kind of thinking about Salem's art scene is what might be maybe some open thoughts of the room too, ways that we could kind of build up a scene or art walks, or I mean, even having events on the same night maybe as Salem on the Edge and Salem Art Association, so that we can start to build more camaraderie locally as well.
I would say that the hardest part since the pandemic is that because everything shut down and there were no events, people, all the galleries, we were kind of all on the same schedule, and First Thursday was a thing, and everybody started trying different things. And so that's been kind of hard to wrangle back in. I think it was an amazing thing that they started in, I think, the early 90s or late 80s or something. It's been going a long time. We were trying to remember this morning at the PATA meeting, like, the history. And so, and I still know, because I do PATA's social media, like, our analytics, the highest thing is First Thursday. So when people find us, they're finding us through First Thursday and the PATA, and they're looking up the PATA galleries. And so I think if you can form an alliance and even that much of a commitment where you're able to say, we're all gonna have shows on this, and even if you don't open a show, it doesn't even have to be necessarily the opening, but just like, we're all gonna be open at this time, we're gonna, I think what's great about Thursdays, and I've been kind of making the case for keeping First Thursday, because some other people are like, I don't know if we should still do it, and I'm like, they'll come if we're here, you know. I think people have been a little bit disappointed that a lot of the galleries are still not feeling comfortable enough to be really open to the massive public. Some of them just, in the beginning, just we were at like appointment only, and then it was like, people kind of like that, because it was like the people that actually weren't buying art were making appointments and coming, and they felt it was less disruptive. So opening back up, and it's like staying late on a Thursday night, you know, and you don't know who's gonna come, you never know what's gonna sell, it's true. But I think because we're a community gallery, we really love having the crowd, and we're more about how many eyeballs can we get on the work than how much work can we sell, you know. Sales are great, sales help us, but it's not the bottom line. And so we love having just that energy in the city, being part of it. And so I think that, yeah, ultimately, getting people to agree to all do that together, that they're going to see the benefit from it. The other thing that PATA does is, you know, we pool our resources, so everybody pays PATA dues to create that map. We send out 2 Blast Month, we do social media posts for all our galleries. We actually have alliance that we created for, because we were getting so much interest from places like the Hallie Ford and Hoffman Art Center and different places around Crow Shadow, you know, that were like, hey, can you promote us? You know, even the Portland Art Dealers Association. So we kind of created this alliance where we're promoting them as well, because we think it's great for the whole overall Oregon arts ecology. We want to be sending people out to different places all over the state. We want them to send people to us too, from wherever they are. So it's just a lot of coordination. It takes resources. It takes the trust to pull your resources together, and somebody's got to be the piggy bank of that, and you know, all of that. So I think even that, forming PATA as its own entity, you know, it's an actual business. So actually, we've been thinking about moving to a 501c3 too. So we could get more funding, so we could do more, so we could serve more people, because, you know, we want to move forward to have a more equitable model so people can afford to advertise. But at the end of the day, it costs what it costs, right, for printing or to pay somebody to do the work. So it's hard for us to cut the cost back any more than we have. So if we could get some funding, it would help us to promote more people. You're just stronger together, you know. I think over and over in cities, time and time again, it's like a neighborhood. It's like the artists go in, they make it exciting and interesting, and people want to go there, and then the restaurants come, and that's my pitch has been to the Pearl neighborhood, is like, hey, if we go, what's going to happen to your businesses? Like, doesn't it behoove some sort of developer that has like all these empty buildings to give us a break on rent, to keep us here, to keep things interesting? And case in point, last First Thursday, some guy came in and was like, I'm so glad you guys are here. You know, we've been here the whole time, but okay. Like, I made dinner reservations in the Pearl just because I knew you all would be here. You know, so we know the benefit that we bring to the rest of the city. And so I think even pushing back, you know, if it's a funding thing, it's even like getting some of those other businesses involved to maybe sponsor a map, you know. where you can ask them for funds because they're going to benefit. You know, if they get their logo goes on there or whatever, like, or you're going to keep their restaurant cards, send them. You know, people always ask, where should I go get a bite to eat, or what other cool things to see in the neighborhood, and so, you know, we're giving them business too. So, yeah.
So we do have the first Friday art walk.
Yeah.
And that's really successful. So mostly it's just downtown, the businesses downtown, and people can follow the map. I don't know about Salem. They're kind of, they like to go home early. So, we close at 8 on First Friday art walks. Maybe if we stayed open later, that they would go around to more places. But it starts to, 8 o'clock, it starts to.
But nothing else would be open.
It's true. But it's vibrant downtown. Now, would they drive around to go to places? I don't know.
I think that Salem is suffering from just a lack of exhibition space. That, there's Hallie Ford is downtown, but they have really, they're not open after 5 o'clock unless it's a special event for them. And the Mission Mill has that wonderful set of studios that will occasionally do an art event, but that's not a regular thing either. And, Mary Lou Zeke, who probably you don't even, I don't even know if you know Mary Lou, but she was the institution until like maybe 5 years ago. And I noticed a shift in art energy downtown when she closed her studio. And for a while there were no galleries in downtown Salem. There just weren't any. And we still had a art on the edge. And Ernie and Grace is sort of in that category, though I don't know enough about what they do in terms of who they represent. They just are sort of in another category. I love some of the work that they've got in there, but I've never had a conversation about like what their vision and mission is. And the art department, God bless Jessica Rainey, purchased that a year or so ago, and she's making an amazing community art happening place. And she has shows that's sort of in her backspace. It's not ideal, you wouldn't call it a gallery space. It's a space where work is exhibited, because it just doesn't have the quality of lighting and the quality of, just the aesthetic is a little distracting, because it's really not an art gallery. It's a big white wall that she, will kind of curate shows. And they tend to be open, not juried, they tend to be sort of open environment. So I love our art walk. I just wish there was more art to see while you're walking. The creative businesses that are downtown stay open later. Some of the quirky retail shops will stay open later because that's a good audience for them. But I just really wish that we could support that people in Salem bought enough art to support another gallery, or we have enough kind of community oomph to, create a co-op. But resources.
I think all the things that you mentioned, it does show that Salem, and one reason why I moved here was because of all the different art venues, and it is rich in artists, and there are a lot of different groups going on, and there is cross-pollination with some and not with others. So even if it were just a brochure or something that could be handed out even to new artists moving into the community, so that you would know that there's AIA, there's this, there's SAA, there's all these things that are going on that you could become a part of. And it is a community, even though there are disparate things going on. And it's not as centralized as the Pearl.
Yeah.
And it never will be, except for downtown. But there are things that are going on.
Well, even in in Portland right now. I think that's the challenge with PATA, is that we're hearing from, as we're trying, galleries are closing in the borough too, because of the pandemic, and a lot of things have shifted. We're reaching out to galleries that are outside of the borough, and they're like, well, why would we want to be a part of PATA if it's just the borough? We're like, no, it's not. And so we've been expanding. We've expanded the map. We've been reaching out. Actually, our president of PATA right now is, his gallery's on the east side of Detective Gallery. And so, and we just had new members join that are on Alberta Street. And there's so many neighborhoods, so it's getting a little bit like, that's a design challenge for us of like, how do we create this map that really hits up all the neighborhoods, and because it's just different, and it's shifting, and that is something that we're looking at too, because we don't want galleries to not want to be part because they don't fit in this grid right here, and I think it just, the internet helps, right? Because there's less of worrying about printing, and then you can zoom in and things like that. So we definitely have, the map online, and we had a Google Map plugin thing for a little while that broke, and I have to fix it. But that's helpful too, because it's like people write on Google Maps and then they can go and you can fit that's the beauty of that. But we are in the works of looking into kind of recreating what that map looks like to be more inclusive of other neighborhoods and other galleries.
When you guys work with an artist, how do you think long-term about developing his or her career?
Well, since I'm so new, I really haven't thought like long-term. Mine is like, okay, let's get through this year. Since I've picked up on COVID also, I really like to support my artists and let them do whatever they want to do. I think it's important for them to try new things, not feel like they need to be pigeonholed and not try new things. Yeah, I'm there to support them. They're in the gallery. They're one of the artists I represent, and I would hope that they would try new things. Lots of times artists go full circle, so they'll be trying different things and then maybe go back to something else, but they change it a little bit. But so far, I haven't been open to you, so I'm not sure that I can really answer that, other than the fact that I want to support my artists and what they want to do.
I will say one of the cool things that happens is Blackfish is mentorship. You have some members that have been there since 1979, started the gallery. They've got really rich, amazing careers. They've shown different places. It's so cool to watch those members, elder members, take an interest in the new artist work. They're excited about emerging artists and new work coming into the gallery. And so I see a lot of that kind of shepherding or helping them figure out who they are, like happen in these. It's cool too, because it's like not just two people drawn together, it's like all the different mixes that happen throughout. And I just recently, one cool thing that happened, we had 2 new members come on around the same time. Hector Hernandez is a well-known mural artist, and he pitched a project to the Portland Art Museum to create a live mural painting while the Frida Kahlo show and Mexican modernism show was happening. And it's a big undertaking, and so he brought brand new artists who they're co-teachers at Wilsonville High School, and hadn't been in the gallery before. They're still emerging artists. They're art teachers, and now they're painting a mural in the Portland Art Museum. Like, so cool how things like that happen. So, and now Janice has been talking about Janice Yang is one of the artists. She's like, I just want to paint murals. Like, and actually she's been thinking more about like, how do maybe I want this to be my career, maybe, I don't know, so it's interesting how again, it's like founded by teachers, and so many of them are teachers or professors or adjunct, like, so they just already have that sense of wanting to take people under their wing and kind of help them evolve and grow in that way. It's cool. And also, I coach artists, like that's what I do too. So I kind of, I think that's why I'm drawn to it. And then I work a lot with artists one-on-one, and helping them develop artist statements or marketing themselves. Because a lot of it, Melanie kind of touched on this too. It's like, it's teamwork, right? So the gallery is going to promote you, but also the more you promote yourself and your own social media and stuff like that, it goes hand in hand. So I think it helps being a part of Blackfish, being a member, being represented by a gallery in general, helps professionalize you, helps get you out there too. But you still, I think the other thing too, and we're going to talk about this when I come back, but like marketing yourself is when galleries are looking for, like they are looking for people that they can work with, that they love their work, that they can sell their work, that I think that you investing in yourself by doing all those things is going to want to make a gallery invest in you. So I think starting there is really important, and having some sort of presence online. It just kind of, it's something that we say, and then it's just a hard thing to do or keep up with or be consistent about. But once you really are committed to doing that and invest the time and whatever money it takes, I think it's worth it.
Well, I have one final question, well, there's two. So do you have any suggestions for other resources that folks can look into? So any other resources you would recommend? And then I'm not sure how to word this, and it's kind of been touched upon and asked. But there's so much conversation about how do artists get into galleries, and what do I need to do for the gallery, Just like I know like Melanie is very community oriented and stuff. So can you talk a little bit about, in the last few minutes that we have, about how your gallery serves your community, and how can your gallery be the right one for the artist rather than, or do you not need to worry about that? Because they're all coming to you. Because I know they are. Just out of curiosity. Because there's a lot of conversation between, the conversation always seems to be how can the artist get into the gallery, but really it goes, like you're saying, you touch upon it's a good match, it goes both ways. So just thinking about that, how does the gallery serve the artist, or, how does the gallery live so that the artist, so that they, not can apply to the artist, but do you know what I'm trying to say? So that you're drawing in the artist that you want, or how does that kind of, whether it's values or ethics or presentation, or what are the things you think about so that you can do the job so that you're in the right place for the artist that you want?
So I try and get artists that do all different kinds of work. We talked about this a little bit. So I don't have like one genre that I'm looking for. I'm looking for everything because we're in Salem. I never wanted to be pigeonholed with, I only sold landscapes or abstract. I always wanted people to be able to come into the gallery and find something that they liked. So I feel like I really have a wide range of what I show, which I like. I like all different kinds of art. I always wanted, and maybe this is why people come to me, is I always wanted to be a gallery where everyone was welcome. I never wanted to be one of those galleries where you walked in and no one said boo. I wanted everyone to feel welcome, no matter, whether you're dressed in your jammies or what. You never know who's going to buy a piece of artwork. You just don't. And you should just be nice to everybody. So I think maybe people or artists that I take on have kind of that attitude. I want to work with someone who's nice, so maybe I'm attracting artists that are nice and open, usually fairly organized, although that's not a prereq. And I also do graffiti art. There's some of you know I've got a graffiti wall, so I'm bringing in people who like artwork like that. I don't know where I'm going with this question.
I think you touched on something before that I can pick up on. You talked about like when you walk in the gallery and don't even look at the gallery and just go straight to can I talk to the person, like demand to talk to the person in charge and like put them on the spot of like how can I get in my gallery? Will you show my work? It's like it's so I don't know. It's akin to I would think dating, or like just approaching some random person and like insisting, or like it's just so out of touch. Like there's steps. So like, hi, how's it going? Like you don't just go right to like, will you marry me tomorrow? Like it's not, because there's a certain sense of like a committed relationship, right? And so before you get into a committed relationship, you want to get to know a person, you want to, see them a few times. So that's why I always tell people, come down to the gallery, say, hey, check out the work, like ask questions about the work, like really read the website. I mean, that's like number one no-brainer, just like read the gallery's website, because most everything you're going to find there. I mean, so many people that reach out to me, if they had just went to our about section, they would have the answer to their question and they would know whether, at least to start from that frame. And actually it's super off-putting when you ask that question, because then I know you haven't read the website and then you really don't know anything about the gallery, and then I'm like, well then why do you want to show here if you don't know anything about it? So I think just being a fan, coming down, like saying hey, asking about work, like it shows that you're interested. Like if you came out and analyzed a gallery tomorrow, and we're looking around and like, this is fascinating, and tell me more about this piece, she's gonna have to want to talk to you about the work because she loves everything that's in there, and that's why she's there, and you just start to have a rapport, and I think that the time will come as you build a relationship with someone to show them that your work, so it's kind of sometimes you got to work up to it. It's like, don't go in there cold and then that be the first thing. It's kind of dead in the water. You're better off playing the long game.
And on that note, I know being an artist or being in selling, it's a lot of hats. And so what if one of those hats that you're not good at is that you're shy or you're nervous because you haven't approached a gallery owner? Or maybe you're just an introvert and that's the worst thing you could think of doing. What are some advice for maybe some of the introverted artists or shy artists that you know that have been a good experience or that you've really welcomed and appreciated?
I think take a friend with you. I think that's what's cool about galleries, right? It's like you could go and bring a friend with you. Like any other sort of job interview or place that you're wanting to or date, like you can't take a friend. Like it's not weird. It's weird. But in a gallery space, you could take a friend and that kind of diffuses it maybe. And honestly, your friend can be your wing person because it's like, oh, they're being modest. They're a really talented artist, and then it feels less. Actually, that angle is more interesting, right, than you like trying to promote yourself. But I say that,
and they do.
And they do.
mean, lots of people come in with a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, you should show them their work,
Or you can email. I mean, you can always email if you're not comfortable going in. How do I get into your gallery, or can you talk to me?
Yeah. I just think in general, that it's one of those things that you have to learn. I know you all are not going to believe it, but I used to be extremely introverted and shy. And I was for for a very long time, like decades, and this is kind of a newfound thing for me, and I think really what it comes down to is knowing yourself. If you really, really know who you are and you really are good with that, your confidence just goes through the roof, you know, and not in a cocky way or not in a, you exude it because you know who you are, you feel more confident, like, and I think that, you know, hooking up with other artists in the area, even like after a class, like I'm so happy that things are in person again because it's like what doesn't happen on Zoom is like after this is like all of like bye everybody, you know, but like here you can mingle, you can hang out, you could talk to us, you could talk to each other, you know, and that you just start to build relationships little by little like that. I mean, I came here to Portland 10 years ago, I didn't know anybody in the art scene, and another thing, you could just volunteer. Lots of places just need help.
Oh, we need help.
There you go. Like, and just volunteering and being known and making yourself known in the community, it just, there's these side conversations that happen about work that you're working on and showing pictures or you friend each other on social media and then they start to see what you're doing, and it's just, it all sort of happens organically, but you just have to begin by just being brave enough. I mean, just showing up here tonight and coming here is part of that, even if you don't talk to them. There's what is it? I want to say it's Austin Kleon, but I can't remember who said this. I think it was him. It's just like, make yourself go to an event and just like talk to one person and just like give yourself an assignment. If you just meet one person, then you did it. Like, you don't have to be the most gregarious person and like be taught like a politician and like work the room, you know, but even if you could just make one friend or, you know, make a connection, and you'd be surprised at where that goes, you know, because as you're all building your network, I started an online course for just this reason, just a coaching group where, because people are so shy, and it's like, okay, well, you just have to hop on the Zoom call, and there's all these instant people, and my whole ethos about it is that it's friendly and welcoming and non-judgmental, you know, and so you're there, you're learning together, and it's an instant community, and it's been really fun. I did the course in the fall, and it's been fun watching them. Now they're like collaborating together and working on projects. This one of the artists, he's started out as a magician. He like grew up in a magic shop, and he does like sideshow and like all these crazy things. But balloon art has kind of been his thing, about creating these like elaborate balloon installations. And he's gotten this storefront for like he rents it for like $1 a month downtown, and it's got like all these rooms, and he can't possibly fill them, but it's like this art installation. So we're like, go reach out to the community. So he's like, well, I'm new in town, I've only been here for a year, but these are the people that he met through the course, so he's been reaching out to them, and they're gonna start, like, each get a room, and so it's like, that's a place for them to show, you know, and you're cross-promoting and showing each other, and it's crazy how I think so many times when it's good to have big visions and aim high, but you also have to remember that every step of the journey is part of it. And so don't overlook like even just a small thing, like showing up here tonight, you know, or coming back to, because there's going to be a whole series and more things that Kathy said that she wants to work on, you know, and that as you come, you'll get to know each other and you build that community. And it's weird because you don't want to say like in an obnoxious way, it's like who you know. But at the end of the day, like it is, because when you're thinking about when I'm thinking about like, oh, these people will call me and ask me for things, and I'm like, oh yeah, that came to mind because I know that person. You know, it's like the only way you're gonna get suggested is to be known, and so just, you know, make yourself known in some way, even if it's just small, and just, yeah, one little step at a time. It's like you look back on it and you can't believe. That's how I feel about my career and where I'm at. It's like, wow, I can't believe I'm the director of Blackfish. Like, how did it go from like being like this one little job and this one little interest that just like led to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. So,
all right. Well, thank you guys so much.